Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are in the world. It is a good day for me. It is a good day for you, if you're a Liverpool fan. And it's a good day overall. And largely in part because Liverpool is coming off a 2-0 win against the Wolves. And it's not just the fact that they won, it's how they won. Liverpool has been known to be this controlled chaos shaped team. And Carlo Ancelotti brilliantly said he knows exactly who Liverpool is, what their identity is. Therefore, it's easy to decipher and point out weaknesses or combat it. And that's what happened in the Champions League final. That's what happened last week. And we are actually learning from that. And that's what excites me. We're seeing the development of not only Liverpool team, but Jurgen Klopp himself. He didn't do this at Mainz. He didn't do this at Borussia Dortmund. He didn't have the opportunity. He left before he could. We're seeing the transformation of a first iteration of a squad into a second one. And it's not just a complete wipe, brand new squad. It's players overlapping, old players, some not old but not new, thinking like Diogo Jota and a few others. We're looking at young guys as well, so brand new players, Stefan Bajcetic. And instead of this controlled chaos identity, we're transforming into what I like to call this selective chaos. So we saw the extreme a couple days ago, where it against Crystal Palace, where it was just possession, it was boring, there was no creativity, no enthusiasm. It was just, we're going to hold the ball and hope something happens. That was the control, but there was no chaos. Now we're seeing the controlled with selective chaos. And some will say, oh, no, that's just Darwin Núñez's presence. But Darwin Núñez isn't going to be able to hold the team by himself. So it needs to be something that gets implemented tactically. And why did we make this shift? So there's two levels. And I'm going to talk about this identity that we're transforming into and how that helped us beat Wolves. Why did it change? I'm talking about on the individual level as well as the team. And then some positives of the match and some areas of improvement for the match as well. If you haven't subscribed or liked yet, do so or don't. Cool if you do, cool if you don't. Whatever. Moving on. So, again, this idea of controlled chaos has come to define Liverpool. And our players are older, our tactics are outdated. So why do we need to change? On the individual level, and we've seen this with Jordan Henderson, Fabinho, Thiago, Virgil a little bit, Alisson, he's having a few brain fart moments, and that comes with age. I'm not saying these guys are ready to retire and get a walker and settle in at a nursing home or anything, but their pace is a step slower. I think we're approaching the wrong side of 25 as a team average. I think the average age of our team is 28, something like that, whereas Arsenal is about 25. So on the individual level, we don't have the personnel to continue a fast pace, high intensity, high line style of football. So what does that mean when we don't have the individuals to carry out this tactic? We get figured out as a team. Again, we have a high line, or we played with a high line where we were just getting demolished on the counterattack and didn't have the pace with our backs to recover. And with our wing backs being like our essential playmakers, the space that they left behind was just being exploited left and right. We saw Marcus Rashford do it, Wilfred Zaha. It happened a lot. So that in combination with goal droughts and our team being injury prone this year, we couldn't continue this uh, controlled chaos style of play or identity. So we're moving into a possession selective chaos mentality, and I love it. Some people are annoyed that it may be a little slower. It's not as exciting to some, but again, I love it. I love staring at two teams thinking about every single move that they're about to make, and play a chess game in real time, in real life, with the ball at high speed. I would never watch a game of chess on TV or on the computer, never. But if I did, I feel like this is the same type of stimulation my brain would have gotten. So the positives of today's match. We played way more balanced. We saw the pendulum swing way too far to the possession side against Crystal Palace. There was no creativity, there was no enthusiasm, no energy, no passion. It was flat. But you can see a change in tactics and identity, which was needed, because we couldn't just keep trying the same thing over and over and over and over and over again and just get our asses kicked. So Jurgen recognized that we have the personnel that can achieve a balanced possession-based game. So let's look at the guys that put in a full shift or very close to a full shift today. Keeper assumed. Virgil, Ibu, Costas, Trent almost put in a full shift. Fab, Harvey Elliott, Mo Salah. I had the question early on whether we didn't make subs earlier because was it a lack of trust in the bench? Was it a strong sense of trust in the starting lineup? What was it? And I think part of it was this style allows players to stay in the game longer. They're not utilizing all their stamina and running themselves into the ground by the 60th minute and then just replacing them with a fresh set of legs. We saw the team sitting back on defense a little more. Again, selective pressing. So you're not completely exhausted, midway into the second half. And some areas of improvement, passes were sloppy. It was a big issue last match. Luckily, it didn't lead to any big chances against Crystal Palace. Luckily, we didn't get scored on today with the sloppy passes. But the reason for this is Jurgen Klopp's style has always been high risk, high reward. All right? You make that risky pass because you know your team is going to collapse onto that opposition player if you lose the ball. You're going to win that ball back within 7 seconds. So that is a habit that they're in the process of breaking. And they have to be a lot more selective and a lot more careful with the ball. So these turnovers, they will reduce over time as this becomes the norm. But it's still something that needs to be worked on. Fouls. Too many yellow cards today. A lot of fouls. And they were mainly for two reasons. One, out of position. Or two, too tired. Um, Fabinho, if he had to run any more than 5 yards, it was almost guaranteed that he would foul a player. We saw him drop a little further back into the defensive line, which meant that he was conserving energy later into the match. So by the end of it, they were essentially playing with the back three, which is suitable. Fabinho is only 28, 29, 28. And it's not time to write him off yet. It's time to change his role, to change the type of player that he needs to be with the skill set that he still has. The last thing that needs to improve is we still get beat on give and goes, ones and twos, a little too much. We saw it happen with Nelson Semedo on the sideline, but it didn't last the entire match because Trent picked it up and he stopped chasing the player and getting beat once the give and go happened. So instead of when the player passes the ball and begins to make the run, instead of trying to press as hard as he could against the player who's about to make the pass, he let him make the pass and sagged off. That way he wasn't vacating the space for that player, for the opposition player to run into. And this is what we saw with the ones and twos against Real Madrid, that they did really well. We had players that would jump out of position, try to press really quick, get beat on a quick 1-2, and vacate the space, make it easy for an opposition player to sit in it and take a shot. Happened with Vinicius Jr. Go back and look at it. Jordan Henderson, he jumps too quickly. He guesses and leaves that space open. The second one, Fabinho does the exact same thing. He lunges for the ball against Benzema. Benzema is able to beat him on a really easy little give and go and take a shot and let it go in. So we need to get better at it, not concede so many of those types of passes and plays from the beginning, but that'll come with time. Last thing. So maybe controversial, maybe not. My player of the match was Trent Alexander-Arnold. He had a great defensive outing. And a lot of that was, one, he was thinking. He wasn't just trying to run full steam ahead. He was being selective in when he was going to press and how. And that allowed him to intercept more often, allowed him to slow opposition down. Because if someone's pressing you really hard and you beat that one person, it means the entire team is now out of position. And he's having to run back and track all the time. And this is where a lot of the mistakes have been coming from, because he's gotten beat on a quick play and maybe doesn't have the cover that he needs to in order to recover that mistake, or he didn't have the pace or positioning. But we saw him be selective in how hard he was going to press and when, which allowed the game to slow down so he can anticipate more and be in the position to make defensive plays. Same thing with Fabinho. Although Fabinho has a little more space to cover, Trent has a lot more space to cover up and down, vertically. Fabinho has a little more holistically. He has left, right, front, center. And you can still see that he's hesitant of, when he should be pressing, when he shouldn't, because he knows if he gets beat, he's out of the play. He's not gonna run back and make that play happen, and he'll get better with that, guaranteed. People are gonna be singing his praises in 2 weeks. Mark my words. Same thing with Trent. This Manchester United game, It worries me because we've just found a winning formula and it may be too soon. Uh, and I don't know how the guys are gonna react. I don't know if they're gonna. I don't think they're gonna have their heads held so high or nose stuck so high in the air that they're just like, yeah, we're back. We can beat them. I don't think they're gonna do that. But when you've kind of just settled into a nice rhythm or a nice new strategy, then the moment it becomes challenging and maybe doesn't work on a higher quality team, you revert to what you know. So my fear is that they're going to go back to that controlled chaos, super intense press all the time, get tired, get beat, go down by 2 goals and capitulate. That's what worries me. If they don't give in on this new style too quickly on Sunday, then there's a good chance they could win. They still have the quality, but I think I'm more comfortable saying that there will either be a 0-0 tie or 0-0 tie or a 1-1 tie. My hope is that we have a 2-1 win. That would be beautiful. Spoke a lot, gave my opinions, a little bit of a rant, but this is exciting. We're seeing the transformation of Jurgen Klopp and the team at the same time. Curious to know if you got this far, what your thoughts are, who your man of the match was, what do you think is going to happen next match, rest of the season. Love to hear it. Thanks. Cheers. Have a good rest of your day.